OutDaughtered. Adam gets candid about the emotional aspects of living with 7 preteen daughters. OutDaughtered stars, Adam and Danielle Busby, have their hands full with a house full of daughters. The couple shares 1 single daughter and 6 quintuplets. Adam and Danielle have made a bustling, healthy, and happening life for themselves with their girls. They caught the public eye when TLC launched their show. Overnight, they became fan favorites. However, this fan favorite show has been on hiatus for an extended period. Although the network hasn't canceled the show, it hasn't revived it either. Therefore, it made the fandom very disappointed and reeling for more. The fandom now stays in touch with the stars through their podcast, YouTube channel, and social media. Their latest podcast episode is all about Adam's emotional perspective on living with 7 preteen daughters. OutDaughtered. Danielle shares shocking hair makeover of her daughter. Over the years, the fandom has witnessed the Quints growing up. Moreover, every sister is different than the others, with their unique personalities. OutDaughtered's Danielle often shares glimpses of her life with her girls on her social media. In one such post, she talked about the girls getting a hair makeover. She additionally shared that all the girls just got a trim, except one. Drum rolls. It is little Hazel. She got herself a brand new hair makeover and changed her whole look. She cut off a large chunk of her hair, going several inches shorter. Hazel wanted to do a short, Danielle wrote with shock, which was evident in the caption. Guess she wants to be like her mamas, Danielle joked. Danielle also cut her hair short in a dramatic makeover just a few months ago. OutDaughtered. Adam talks about the emotional aspects of being a girl dad to 7 preteens. The fan-favorite TLC show OutDaughtered has been on hiatus for a very long time. Therefore, when they announced their podcast and YouTube channel, it greatly excited fans. Adam and Danielle launched the podcast in late 2024. They were at their most unfiltered position, discussing their lives off-camera, the challenges of parenthood, and life with the quintuplets. They shared a more raw version of themselves than they ever did on the show. Their podcast has since garnered much support and love from the fandom. Needless to say, over the years, the Busby's podcast has been quite successful as well. Lately, Adam and Danielle have been on a roll with their latest podcast episode releases. Their latest episode housed a different side of Adam as he spoke about what it is like to be a girl dad to 7 preteens. He got candid about how the girls would randomly get mood swings and act very headstrong. He felt like a dad, and as a man, he didn't understand what was going wrong with the girls. Moreover, he thanked her wife for correcting him during heated times. Danielle then shared her words of wisdom for any other girl's dad listening. As your girls get older, what they need more is the loving affection and attention from their dad, Danielle stated. She said it went for Adam as well. The episode is now available on YouTube and other streaming platforms. For all the latest reality TV updates, stay tuned to TV season and spoilers. When people watch OutDaughtered, they see laughter. They see chaos. They see matching outfits, birthday parties, school mornings, and those classic Busby family moments that feel both overwhelming and heartwarming at the same time. But what many people don't always see is the emotional weight behind it all, especially for Adam. Living with 7 daughters isn't just a fun fact. It isn't just something that sounds impressive in a headline. It's a daily emotional journey. And recently, Adam opened up in a way that felt more honest and raw than ever before. Being the only male in a house full of strong, growing, emotional, intelligent girls is something most dads can't even imagine. But for Adam, it's everyday life. And now that the girls are entering their preteen years, things are shifting in ways that are both beautiful and challenging. He's not just a dad changing diapers anymore. He's not just the dad building bikes or grilling in the backyard. He's becoming the dad who listens to deep conversations, who navigates mood swings, who tries to understand feelings he never personally experienced growing up as a boy. And that's where it gets emotional. Adam has always been open about his mental health journey. He has talked about anxiety before, about feeling pressure, about learning to ask for help instead of pretending to be strong all the time. But raising 7 preteen daughters adds another layer to that emotional awareness. Because now, it's not just about him managing his feelings. It's about helping 7 young girls manage theirs. Preteen years are tender. They're confusing. One minute there's laughter over something silly, and the next minute there are tears over something that might seem small to adults but feels huge to a child. And multiply that by 7. Adam has admitted that sometimes it feels like emotional whiplash. The house can go from peaceful to overwhelming in seconds. Different personalities, different sensitivities, different insecurities starting to form as they grow older. And as a dad, he feels responsible for protecting their confidence. He talks about how he worries about the world they're growing up in. Social media pressure, body image comparisons, friendship drama, expectations placed on girls at such young ages. It's something he didn't have to face in the same way when he was young. Now, he watches his daughters step into that world, and it hits him differently. He's protective, but he also knows he can't shield them from everything. That balance is emotional. Adam has shared that sometimes he feels outnumbered in more ways than one. Not just physically, but emotionally. The conversations in the house are filled with topics he didn't grow up discussing. Skincare routines, friend group dynamics, fashion opinions, emotional processing. He jokes about it sometimes, but underneath the humor, there's sincerity. He's learning. Every day, he listens more than he talks. He's realized that being a girl dad isn't about having all the answers. It's about being present. It's about creating a safe space where his daughters feel heard, even when he doesn't fully understand what they're going through. And that vulnerability, that willingness to admit he's still learning, is what makes his perspective powerful. There are moments when he feels overwhelmed. He has said that the noise alone can be exhausting. 7 conversations happening at once. 7 different needs. 7 different requests. But then there are quiet moments too. Moments when one of the girls crawls up beside him and talks about her day. Moments when they ask for his opinion. Moments when they say, "Daddy, can you help me?" And in those moments, he feels the weight in a different way. Not as pressure, but as purpose. He's aware that he's shaping how these girls will view men one day. That thought alone is heavy. The way he treats Danielle, the way he handles conflict, the way he speaks about emotions, all of it becomes a blueprint. And that awareness makes him more intentional. He's talked about how having daughters has softened him, made him more emotionally expressive, more patient, more reflective. But it's also stretched him. There are days when he feels like he's not doing enough. Days when he wonders if he gave each girl enough individual attention. With 7 kids, it's impossible to divide yourself perfectly. That guilt can creep in. He wants each daughter to feel uniquely valued. Not just one of 7. Not just part of a group, but individually seen. That's something he's deeply candid about, the fear of unintentionally overlooking someone's silent struggle. Because preteen years aren't always loud. Sometimes they're quiet. Sometimes a child withdraws instead of acting out. And Adam worries about missing those subtle signs. He and Danielle work as a team, but as a dad, he feels a specific role forming now. He's not just their protector anymore. He's their emotional anchor. And anchors don't always get to drift. They stay steady. Even when they're tired. Even when they're unsure. Adam has admitted that sometimes he misses the simplicity of the toddler years, when the biggest problem was a spilled cup or a bedtime delay. Now, the problems are layered. Emotional. Social. You can't fix them with a bandage or a timeout. You fix them with conversations. And that takes energy. It takes patience. It takes emotional intelligence. But what makes his story powerful is that he's not pretending to be the perfect dad who has it all figured out. He openly talks about learning on the job, about apologizing when he gets it wrong, about stepping back when emotions run high. He's modeling growth in real time. And that matters. Because his daughters are watching. They're learning how men handle stress, how men respond to tears, how men communicate frustration. And Adam feels that responsibility deeply. There are nights, he admits, when the house is finally quiet and he just sits there thinking about how fast it's all moving, how the girls are getting taller, louder, more independent. He knows that one day the house won't be this chaotic. And that thought is emotional too, because while it's overwhelming now, it's also temporary. And that realization makes him more patient on the hard days. It makes him hug them tighter after disagreements. It makes him show up even when he's exhausted. Living with 7 preteen daughters isn't just a quirky storyline for television. It's a daily emotional balancing act. It's learning to lead with empathy. It's learning to step into conversations that feel unfamiliar. It's choosing connection over control. And Adam, in his candid moments, shows that fatherhood isn't about dominance or authority. It's about presence. It's about showing up consistently, even when you're unsure. It's about saying, I don't know everything, but I'm here. And in a house filled with 7 growing girls, that might be the most important thing of all. As the girls move deeper into their preteen years, Adam has started to feel a new kind of pressure, one that doesn't come from inside the house, but from outside of it. Raising 7 daughters is one thing. Raising 7 daughters in the public eye is something else entirely. There's a different kind of vulnerability that comes with cameras, social media, and public opinions. Adam has spoken honestly about how protective that makes him feel. When the girls were younger, it felt lighter. They were toddlers. The world saw them as adorable, innocent, playful. But now they're forming identities. They're becoming more aware of how they look, how they act, how people perceive them. And Adam knows that once children become aware of outside judgment, something shifts. He worries about comments they might one day read. He worries about comparisons. He worries about the unrealistic standards that float around online, especially for young girls. And as a dad, that's heavy. He said before that social media can be both a blessing and a challenge. It allows them to connect with fans and share their story. But it also opens the door to criticism. And when you're raising daughters, criticism feels sharper. Adam doesn't just want to raise confident girls. He wants to raise resilient girls. Girls who know their worth isn't tied to likes or followers. Girls who understand that beauty isn't something measured by trends. But teaching that requires consistency. It requires him to model it himself. There are days when he steps back and asks himself if he's striking the right balance between protecting their privacy and allowing them to grow in the life they were born into. That internal questioning never really stops. And layered into all of this is his own mental health. Adam has been brave about talking publicly about anxiety. Not in a dramatic way. Not for attention. But in a steady, real way that makes other fathers feel less alone. Living in a house with constant noise, constant emotion, constant movement can amplify anxiety if you're not careful. 7 preteen daughters means 7 energy shifts throughout the day. Some days are calm. Some days feel like emotional storms. And Adam has learned that he can't pour into his daughters if he's running on empty. So he's become more intentional about self-awareness. About recognizing when he needs a moment. When he needs quiet. When he needs to reset instead of reacting. That doesn't mean he gets it right every time. There are moments he admits he loses patience. Moments where the volume feels too loud, the conversations feel too layered, and the responsibility feels too big. But what stands out is that he talks about those moments openly. He apologizes. He circles back. He shows his daughters that adults aren't perfect either, and that growth doesn't stop just because you're a parent. That kind of modeling might be one of the most powerful lessons he gives them. Because preteen girls are observant. They watch everything. They notice tone shifts. They notice facial expressions. They notice when dad is stressed even if he says he's fine. Adam understands that now more than ever. He's also talked about how he tries to carve out one-on-one time with each daughter.
And that's not easy.
7 schedules. 7 interests. 7 evolving personalities. Some of the girls are more independent. Some still crave extra closeness. Some open up easily. Others hold things in. He's learning that connection doesn't look the same for all of them. For one daughter, connection might mean sitting quietly while she draws. For another, it might mean an intense back-and-forth conversation about something that happened at school. For another, it might just mean being physically present in the same room. He's paying attention to those differences now. Because as they grow, their needs grow too. And he doesn't want to miss it. He's mentioned before that sometimes he feels like time is moving too fast. That realization hits harder during this stage. The shift from little girls who needed help tying their shoes to young girls forming opinions about the world is dramatic. They challenge ideas now. They ask bigger questions. They notice inconsistencies. And Adam actually welcomes that. He wants strong daughters. He wants thinkers. But he also feels the emotional weight of knowing that strength sometimes comes with growing pains. There will be heartbreaks one day. There will be disappointments. There will be moments he can't fix. And that's one of the hardest truths he's admitted, that fatherhood isn't about preventing every hurt. It's about walking beside them through it. He's thought about the future more lately. High school years. Driving lessons. Dating conversations. The house getting quieter one day. Even saying that out loud feels surreal. 7 bedrooms that are currently loud, messy, filled with laughter. One day those doors will close. Differently. And Adam feels that future approaching, even if it's still years away. That awareness makes him softer in small moments. He lingers longer in hugs. He listens more carefully to random stories about school drama. He says yes to silly things more often, because he knows these years won't repeat. There's also something deeply emotional about being the only man in the house. He's talked about how it has reshaped his understanding of masculinity. Masculinity in their home isn't about dominance. It's about steadiness. It's about gentleness paired with strength. It's about listening before speaking. He wants his daughters to grow up knowing that men can be emotionally intelligent, that men can express feelings, that men can admit when they're overwhelmed. In many ways, living with 7 daughters has made him more emotionally fluent. He's learned new patience, new communication styles, new empathy. It hasn't been effortless, but it's been transformative. And when he reflects on it all, the chaos, the noise, the tears, the laugh, he doesn't describe it as burden. He describes it as privilege. A loud privilege, an exhausting privilege, an emotional privilege. Because not everyone gets to shape 7 lives so closely. Not everyone gets daily reminders to grow alongside their children. Adam's candid honesty shows that fatherhood, especially girl-dad life, isn't about having control over every outcome. It's about showing up consistently. It's about adapting. It's about choosing connection over ego. And as his daughters step deeper into their preteen years, that choice becomes more important than ever. He may feel outnumbered. He may feel overwhelmed at times. But he also feels anchored, grounded, purposeful. 7 daughters haven't just changed his house. They've changed him. And in his most honest moments, you can tell he wouldn't trade that transformation for anything. As the years move forward, Adam has started to understand something that many fathers don't realize until much later, that raising daughters isn't just about protecting them from the world, it's about preparing them for it. That shift in mindset is emotional. When the girls were younger, protection meant baby gates, outlet covers, holding their hands in parking lots. It was physical safety, tangible, visible. Now protection looks different. Now it means teaching boundaries. It means teaching self-respect. It means helping them recognize their own voice. And that requires conversations that are deeper, sometimes uncomfortable, but necessary. Adam has admitted that he didn't grow up having long emotional discussions with his own father. Not because there wasn't love, but because generations were different. Feelings weren't always explored openly. Vulnerability wasn't always modeled. So now, raising 7 daughters, he's intentionally breaking patterns. He wants his girls to feel safe coming to him about anything. School pressure, friend drama, body changes, confusion,
Fear.
dreams, questions about the future. He doesn't want to be the dad who is only approached for practical things. He wants to be approachable emotionally. And that takes work. There are moments when he feels out of his depth. 7 different personalities means 7 different communication styles. Some of the girls express themselves loudly. Others process quietly. He's learning to read between the lines. Learning when I'm fine doesn't actually mean fine. Learning that sometimes the strongest daughter is the one silently struggling. That emotional awareness didn't come overnight. It developed slowly, through trial, error, listening, and humility. There have been nights when he's replayed conversations in his head, wondering if he responded the right way, if he validated enough, if he listened more than he lectured. That's the invisible side of fatherhood people rarely see. The self-reflection, the quiet questioning, the desire to do better tomorrow than you did today. Adam has also become increasingly aware of how important his relationship with Danielle is in shaping the girls' expectations of love and partnership. They watch how he speaks to her, how he handles disagreements, how he shows affection. 7 pairs of eyes absorbing everything. That realization alone is emotional, because it means even small moments matter. A gentle tone matters. An apology matters. A shared laugh in the kitchen matters. He understands that one day, his daughters may subconsciously measure future relationships against what they saw at home. And he wants that blueprint to be healthy, strong, respectful, balanced. Living in a house full of preteen energy also means living in constant transition. One daughter is outgrowing childhood interests. Another is discovering new hobbies. Another is testing independence. Adam sometimes jokes about feeling like he's always adjusting to a new version of each child. And that's true. Children don't grow in straight lines. They evolve. And with 7, that evolution feels multiplied. There are moments when he feels nostalgic even while the girls are still young. He'll look at an old photo and realize how quickly phases pass. The missing teeth phase. The silly matching outfit phase. The bedtime story phase. He knows more phases are ahead. More change. More letting go. And letting go is emotional. Because while his job is to prepare them for independence, his heart still sees glimpses of the little girls they once were. He's also talked about the importance of faith and values in their home. Not in a rigid way, but as grounding principles. Kindness. Integrity. Accountability. Gratitude. With 7 daughters, teaching values isn't a one-time lesson. It's constant reinforcement. Daily reminders through example. He knows that the world will introduce competing messages. About appearance. About popularity. About success. So he focuses on reinforcing identity from within. He tells them they're strong. He tells them they're capable. He tells them they're loved not for performance, not for perfection, but simply because they're his daughters. Sometimes those affirmations seem small, but repeated over years, they become foundations. Adam has also acknowledged that being the only male in the house has stretched him in unexpected ways. He's learned about things he never imagined he'd be discussing so frequently. He's had to grow comfortable with topics that once felt unfamiliar. But instead of shrinking from that discomfort, he's leaned into it. Because avoidance creates distance. And distance is the last thing he wants. He wants connection. Even when it feels awkward. Even when he doesn't have all the answers. There are days when exhaustion hits him deeply. 7 preteen daughters means noise, questions, needs, emotions often all at once. But exhaustion and fulfillment can coexist. That's something he's come to understand. You can feel drained and grateful at the same time. Overwhelmed and honored at the same time. Stretched and strengthened at the same time. That emotional complexity defines this season of his life. And perhaps what makes Adam's candid reflections resonate most is that he doesn't glamorize it. He doesn't pretend it's easy. He doesn't pretend he has a perfect formula. He speaks about fatherhood like a journey that reshapes you daily. Living with 7 daughters has softened his reactions, sharpened his listening, deepened his empathy, strengthened his patience, and most of all, clarified his purpose. When he looks around his house at the backpacks by the door, the shoes scattered across the floor, the overlapping conversations, he doesn't just see chaos. He sees opportunity. Opportunity to influence. Opportunity to nurture. Opportunity to love intentionally. One day, the house will quiet down. One day, those 7 preteen daughters will become young women stepping into their own lives. And when that day comes, Adam hopes they leave with confidence, with emotional intelligence, with a clear understanding of their worth. He hopes they remember a father who listened, who showed up, who admitted when he was wrong, who loved loudly and consistently. Because in the end, living with 7 preteen daughters isn't just a headline. It's not just a unique family dynamic. It's an emotional education. For them. And for him. And as Adam continues navigating this season imperfectly, Honestly, intentionally, one thing remains clear. He may be outnumbered, but he is deeply, unwaveringly committed. And for 7 growing girls, that commitment